Yeah,
that?
I was very interested in exploring what countries were going to do in higher education, countries that previously had very few people going off to college and university. Russia actually always was one of the highest ranked countries in the world regarding how many people were going off to university. For the last two generations, it's really been among the top five countries, I believe. But if you take a country, let's say like China, which in 1976 had less than 50,000 people in a country of about a billion going off to college or university. And to think that today they have about 25 million people enrolled, you're talking about a dramatic shift in human capital. And we're not talking about people who are simply going to sew stuffed animals or do relatively low skilled manufacturing. We're talking about people who could actually sort of move up the ladder. If you sort of look at what Japan and Korea have done, they started sewing gloves and making blue jeans, moved on to things like radios and television, and now are in incredibly high tech fields. That's largely because those two countries ramped up their higher education systems, their primary and secondary, very, very quickly, and move to universal education and get people out the door and get them into college and university quickly. So what you wind up getting now is a population that can compete on many different fronts. What's interesting about Russia is that even though you have this highly educated population, for some reason we haven't seen people move into these more productive sectors. I thought it was very interesting. I read some studies on the trend in degrees in Russia, and I found that almost 50% of all current university students are either business or law, and not that many in the STEM areas, which they had been traditionally strong in. So I took that as actually a big question mark for the future. With that said, it's the same thing in the United States. We send a disproportionate amount of students right now off to university who get degrees in things like management and business, and yet not enough in engineering and science and in math and technology that would have a more competitive impact on the economy.